Alright, Game Bears, it is time for the second part of the Unused Pokemon Sword and Shield video, and we left off at both the prototype information as well as the pre-release information before. Now, let us look at the unused Pokemon data, or did we look at pre-released information? Just to make sure. No, I didn't. We didn't go through that. That's a lie, my mistake. But we can go over this part real quick. Let's see, development timeline, early development, late development, as well as Uniqlo contest winner shirt. In early 2019, a contest was held in Japan as a collaboration with the clothing design brand Uniqlo. This contest involved creating Pokemon themed designs for shirts, with the grand prize winning design being included in Sword and Shield as a customization option. The winners were announced in May 2019 with a screenshot on the right. We'll take a look at that in a second, showing the grand prize winners' design in gameplay, worn by Gloria, and being released through whether it is a mock-up or was actually taken in-game is unknown. Eventually, it was discovered as the winning design, as well as another winner's design, had been sold by the creator before the contest, which breached the contest rules. The design was disqualified, but no other grand prize winner was declared, and the contest was officially abandoned, aside from some lesser winners whose prize didn't include anything related to the game. Interestingly, there's an unused shirt in the released game, but it is not this design or any of the other winning entries. And here's what that looks like. You can see there's kind of some Magikarps and some Gyarados on it as well. Alright, and before we continue with this, if you happen to enjoy this video at any point in time, please consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on any other unused entries in gaming. Any other unused information for games, I should say. But anyways, let us move on to unused Pokemon. We're sorry, no shiny hunting for you guys. Sorry, shiny hunters, including myself. Anyways, unobtainable shiny Pokemon with the likes of Eternamax Eternatus, the Kubfu line, as well as their G-Max forms. Which, honestly, some of these shinies are really not missing out on much, except for maybe Shiny Spectra. This is the only shiny that actually looks pretty decent, I'd say, of the ones that we see here. For the sake of consistency, every Pokemon in every Pokemon game is given a shiny variant. Most shiny Pokemon have been obtainable through random chance encounters or even distributions, including most legendary Pokemon. However, a few Pokemon cannot be obtained in this form without hacking, and as a consequence, normal players will never be able to see their shiny colorations. Note that some shiny legendary Pokemon or Ultra Beasts, despite the species being shiny locked in their normal in-game encounters, were still accessible via distribution-based events or via importing them through Pokemon Home. Here's shiny Eternamax Eternatus, a closer look. It's a bit of a magenta-ish color instead of blue. Alright, while regular shiny Eternatus is available via event distributions, the shiny variant of this Eternamax form remains unused. And an Eternatus in the standard form can't be changed into Eternax form outside of its signature move, but otherwise. In the uncatchable Eternamax Eternatus plot encounter is shiny locked. A portion of its model can be glimpsed in-game during its Eternal Beam animation. Here's shiny Kubfu, or Shifus, and its G-Max forms. Nice little closer look. Anyone notice that Kubfu's mouth kind of looks like an upside-down smiley face? It's kind of weird, and now you guys can't unsee it, in case those who haven't. Here's what this looks like. Up close, here's another one. Here is another one for the Single Strike G-Max form and the Rapid Strike G-Max form. Alright, the Kubfu received from Mustard in the Isle of Armor DLC expansion is shiny locked, leaving its shiny variant unobtainable. Naturally, its evolved form Urshifu cannot be shiny either, and consequently the shiny variants of its G-Max form are equally unattainable. And although one Wild Area News event running from June 17 to June 19, 2022 erroneously allowed for G-Max Urshifu encountered as part of the event to be shiny until the issue was patched on the 18th, around to UCC. Said Urshifu were set to be uncatchable. Alright, same with Glastrier, Spectrier, Calyrex, and the two other Calyrex forms. Here's shiny Glastrier. It's not a noticeable difference. I guess its ice is a little more purple. Shiny Spectrier, actually, I think is pretty decent. Nice little cherryish color. Alright, shiny Calyrex kind of sucks. Funnily enough, unlike with shiny Kyurem or shiny Necrozma and its other fused forms, the Glastrier nor Spectrier show up to be shiny, which I guess makes some sense. Alright, Glastrier, Spectrier, or Glastrier and Spectrier, but I don't like saying that, and Calyrex are only accessible in the Crown Tundra DLC expansion. are all shiny locked. This also extends to Calyx's Ice Rider forms and Shadow Rider forms. Alright, Keldeo, a mystical Pokemon from Unova, who has been shiny locked in all previous events it was distributed in. It is obtainable in-game for the first time via the Crown Tundra DLC expansion, where it is still shiny locked, despite the shiny form of its companions, Cobalion, Terrakion, and Verzion being obtainable. Here's shiny G-Max Melmetal, which I don't think it's possible to get a shiny Melmetal. Am I wrong about that? I don't know. Alright, G-Max Melmetal is only available as a reward for connecting a Pokemon Go account to Pokemon Home, and transferring a Pokemon for the first time. Like other event distributions, it cannot be shiny. Other Melmetal cannot be fed the Max Soup, meaning that there is no legitimate way to obtain a shiny Melmetal that can also Gigantamax, rendering its shiny Gigantamax form inaccessible. And now we have shiny Zarude. Here's what it looks like. It's also another very boring shiny where its abdomen here is like a peachish color as opposed to its normal gray color. And here's the Dada form with a little scarf. Doesn't really matter. Zarude and its Dada form are only available through event distributions and therefore cannot be shiny. Leftover Pokemon slots. Every Pokemon that is not featured in the game has unacclimated slots that are never used, including slots from every form except Mega Evolutions and Primal Reversions. For example, Vivio has 20 slots for all of its forms. However, some Pokemon that appear in the game have unused form slots that were likely kept by accident. Most likely a precursor to some Mega Forms and whatnot. And again, more proof that those are originally going to be in the game. These slots belong to the partner Pikachu from Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, Mega Slowbro, and Mega Rayquaza. Alright, unused cries, just so I don't have to worry about getting copyright striked. I'm afraid I won't be able to show them here, or at least have you guys hear them. Alright, the normal and happy cries from Ultra Necrozma curiously exist hid in the file since the base game. They have remained unused in the entire time. Due to Necrozma's ability to Ultra Burst and consequently become Ultra Necrozma was removed since no Z moves. And interestingly enough, that was also supposed to be in Scarlet and Violet. Funny. Unused Dex entries, which I'm not going to read up all of these, but I'll just read this little first part here, and as usual, I'll let you guys pause the videos for a bit so you can read those, but in a second. Any Pokemon not featured in the game features unique Pokédex descriptions for each version. These cannot be seen in-game, as none of these Pokemon are featured in any of the 3 dexes, but they can be found in Pokemon Home. Any legendaries, mythicals, or Hoenn starters introduced in the DLCs do not have proper descriptions. Regigigas is an exception to this, however, implying that it may have appeared in the Crown Tundra Dex since all other 5 Regis are part of a story-related event. As well as you can actually get Regigigas in the Crown Tundra DLC using the other 5 Regis. Or legendary giants, excuse me, peony. Anyways, Mewtwo's unused Dex entries were removed in version 1.1.0 for unknown reasons. Alright, here's what they are. Alright, if you need to pause at certain segments, go on ahead. It's quite a lot here, which is why I'm gonna let you guys do that. And just not say any of the dialogue. Alright, that should be all the Dex entries, and now we have unused Max Raid statistics. For the sake of consistency, every Pokemon in the game that can Dynamax has stats and rewards for being encountered at a Max Raid, and most likely in case people try to hack them into the game won't crash. It's probably why it's there. While some yield blank results, which indicates they probably weren't meant for Max Raids. Quite a handful have statistics that are currently unseen without hacking. It's possible that these Pokemon might be released in special promotional raids in the future. Some of those most likely never happened. Alright, unused Victini encounter. Now, there's one thing. I do remember when the Crown Tundra DLC first came out back in 2020, there were people talking about that you could encounter Victini in that, but that never happened. There was no way to find it, there was no videos on the subject, nothing. It was just a rumor. Almost like the modern-day version of, Mew under the truck. But anyways, which, mind you, I wasn't alive for that. I wasn't born yet, but whatever. Alright, added with the Crown Tundra DLC, Victini would have had an encounter where it would be level 70. However, this encounter goes unused, and as such, Victini cannot be encountered without transferring or events. As with most other legendaries, This Victini would have been Shiny Locked. Still to this day, Victini is Shiny Locked's poor thing. It's got such a neat shiny, too. Anyways, on to unused items. Arceus really... Hold up, what did that say? I gotta read these things before I do that. Arceus really wants to have his plates back. Yes, he does, and you'll see that in just a second. Alright, here's some unused items. The Wishing Chip instead of a Wishing Stars. This was most likely going to be the original item for that. Alright, a strange unused item which appears to have been able to spawn Dynamax Pokemon indents, similar to the Wishing Piece. Where and how this was meant to be obtained is not known. It has been dummied out completely so it does not show up with an icon in-game. Again, probably because it overlaps with the Wishing Piece. Like, if it has the same purpose as the Wishing Piece, there's no point in having both, you know? Maybe this one could have been used for rarer raids, maybe? I don't know. Alright, the banned I almost said artifact. Autograph. An enigmatic item that appears to be linked to the energetic Pokemon Rock Band that can be seen in the staff credits. It's possible that this item originally belonged to a scrapped side quest involving them. Yeah, that is a possibility, actually. Or, yeah, kind of like the autograph with that one NPC in the Excess Express in Paper Mario 1000 Year Door, where he wanted the conductor's autograph, so that could have been something similar to this. Anyways, leftover items, and there's a lot of them. And like I mentioned, Arceus really wants his plates back. More proof that Arceus was going to be one of the Pokemon that were going to show up in the game, but didn't. Don't worry, he gets his spotlight in Scarlet and Violet, and Legends Arceus later on. Alright, while the majority of unused items have been dummied out completely, these items retain their full functionality from the previous generations. The Cherish Ball can be used to capture Pokemon, and the Arceus Plates boost their respective types of moves. Internally, they also cause an Arceus with multi-type, the only ability it gets by the way, to change its type. The Park Ball exists and implies that it may have been obtained in a similar way as the Sports Ball or the Safari Ball, however it is still unfunctional. Alright, and here is a list of the items that have gone unused. Pause the screen if you need to read some dialogue. At least the Park Ball is better than the Sport Ball. Sport Ball is literally just a normal Pokeball with an S on it. Alright, dummied out items. Unsurprisingly, these items seem to continue Game Freak's trend of bringing over basically every item ever made only to ever use a select few. The game contains a lot of unused items, such as the OTMs and HMs, which are all from Generation 6, as well as Mega Stones, Z-Crystals, Mails, and key items. Although the item sprites were given a white outline in these games, every item here uses a question mark placeholder icon, since all their data has been wiped entirely. The icon of the Let's Go Games items have had their graphics removed. So unfortunately, all of these items are completely useless when hacked in. And here is a list of all the items. I always wonder what the point of the flute items were. They were kind of just there to heal certain stats effects. It's kind of it. They were a big prominent point in the Gen 2 games, but otherwise, yeah, they're kind of worthless. Alright, we got the Sacred Ash. Signature item, but it's never used. The Fluffy Tail, which is just used to escape. It's literally the same thing as the Pokédoll, so I don't know why they even made that item to begin with, but whatever. You got the Soul Sand and Soul Shell, so you can make shell bells. Perhaps you were able to make multiple shell bells in the past, but you can't do that now. Scarlet and Violet later on will just allow you to buy multiple of them. Alright, the Shards, Heart Scales. Heart Scales are completely useless now that you can remember moves on the fly. In Pokemon Centers and Sword and Shield. Alright, you can't grow berries, so mulch is useless. Only the Galar. Well, all the fossils do show up, except for the Sinnoh starters. The Sinnoh fossils, excuse me. Show up in Crown Tundra, but they can be found in the overworld, so that's why these end up going useless. And the Odd Keystone, showing that that was originally going to be a thing, just like it was in Diamond and Pearl. But later on, we got the Psychos that we got in Crown Tundra for those. And it's still not as bad as what Legends Arceus did to get Spiritomb, but whatever. Alright, T. Most likely the same T used in Saffron City in the Gen 1 games, and in Fire Red Leaf Green. Autograph. And a bunch of other unused items. So let's just scroll down here. Mails haven't been used since, I want to say, Gen 5, which is funny. But whatever. So let me scroll down here, and oh yeah, the contest berries again. But yeah, let's go down here if y'all want to pause so you can read which items. Go on ahead. And funny how the red chain is here. Why? I don't get it. That makes no sense. That's a Sinnoh-only item, so whatever. I don't know what they were going to do with that. The Versus Seeker kind of been worthless after Generation 4, let's be honest. Especially in the game where XP candies exist, but whatever. And again, the gem items, aside from the normal gem, were originally going to be in the game as well. But again, what was the point of nerfing it from 50% power boost to a 30% power boost to its respective type if you're going to make them unattainable? I really hope we do get the gem items back in a future Pokemon game finally. Like, I want to see that happen already. I don't know. And you got those little X attack things or stat booster things from the Wonder Launcher in the Gen 5 games, which I'm kind of glad that hasn't returned. It's essentially using non-held items outside of battle. Or not outside of battle, in competitive matches, which I'm glad they got rid of that. Like, you want to boost your Pokemon stats? Do it the old-fashioned way, via a move or an item, a held item. Alright, here are the Mega Stones that were originally going to show up in the game, but did not. And curiously enough, Houndoomite is here, but Houndoom is a Pokemon that doesn't show up in Sword and Shield's final game. Which I did mention that before in previous videos. Out of all the, like, if you look at the Pokemon that were added in the base game and in the 2 DLCs, most of them are Pokemon that can Mega Evolve, with the exception of Houndoom, Ampharos, Beedrill, Medicham, Camerupt, and Pidgeot. So that's more proof that Mega Evolutions were originally going to be in the game, as well as the proof that you see right before you. And the Intriguing Stone is an item I kind of want to talk about when I eventually do a Pokemon Y Nuzlocke, but that's a discussion for another day. Alright, this is a pretty... Oh, hey, they made a... Okay, they made a Fairy Gem. They made a Fairy Gem! Which I don't think I saw this in Scarlet and Violet's files. But they made a Fairy Gem, and I presume Gen 6 and 7 probably have it in their files as well. And they never released it. Why? What's the point of nerfing the items if you're not even going to release them? I don't get it. I really hope they do change that someday. But anyways, let's keep it moving. You know what? While we're here as well, I want to mention, like, notice the different Mega accessories over here, which I know were meant for other characters. What if in Legends ZA, this is just speculation, but what if in Legends ZA, you could choose which Mega accessory you could use for Mega Evolution? That'd be pretty cool. Or if Mega Evolution returns in Generation 10, maybe they could do the same there. Just a little theory. I honestly hope this ages well. That actually sounds pretty decent. That's a way to customize your experience with it. But anyways, here are the Z crystals as well, showing that Z-moves are originally going to be in the game. I really do hope we get a Pokemon game with Mega Evolution, Z-move, Terrestrialization, and Dynamax. That'd be pretty sick. But you know, there'd be people using all 4 of those gimmicks on the same team, which, screw it, man, that'd be fun. Alright, I'm going to skim through these just a little bit faster. Alright, Red Powers here as well. We don't have those in the final game. Alright, here are the candies from Muscovy Genevieve, and that's pretty much all the rest of these are, just the candies from that game. Alright, and some empty slots. There are some empty placeholder items, which all have the same icon name with question mark, question mark, question mark, and description of this. They have the IEDs 72, 78, 81 through 85, 1AA, and 1AB. 345 through 348, 350, 35B, 363 through 37 or 367, 381 through, yeah, you get the point. We don't need to say all of that. Unreleased Dynamax crystals. The following Dynamax crystals haven't been released yet. All of these weird D-Max crystals. I guess for the different Pokemon, like this one could be Comfey right here. This one I want to say is Cryogonal. This one's Aurora and Aurorus, maybe. I don't know what any of these other ones are, to be honest with you. That's just a wild guess. Alright, now unused abilities. Alright, some of the removed Pokemon have abilities in previous games that are actually coded into these games, despite never being used, showing that the Pokemon listed here were originally going to show up in-game, most of them being Mega Evolutions, by the way. All of them still function as expected and will work perfectly fine with the unused Pokemon species that are not found in the game. Even though this description says otherwise, Multi-Type does not change Arceus' type when it's carrying a Z-Crystal like it does in the Gen 7 games. Alright, and here it is. Kecleon, Slugma line, and Camerupt. Castform, Meditite line, Shroomish, and Gliscor lines. A Skitty line, which who the hell wants to use Skitty, I don't know, but whatever. The man himself, Arceus, Darkrai, Zangoose, one of my favorite normal types, the Froakie line as well as Kecleon, as you can see their abilities on the side here, Skiddo, Mega Pinsir, and Mega Salamence, one of my favorite Megas being Mega Salamence, Mega Kangaskhan, Primal Groudon, and Kyogre, Mega Rayquaza, Minior, showing they were going to be in the game at one point, the Alolan Geodude line, Ash Greninja, once again, more proof that Ash Greninja is going to show up once again. Kamala, the Oricorio forms, Bruxish, Alolan Grimerline, and Ultra Necrozma. All their abilities end up going unused because of this. So many of those would have been so cool to use alongside Dynamax, but whatever can you do. Here's some unused text. I'm not going to read all of this, so if y'all want to pause for a second to have some time to read it, here you go. Alright. And now onto some unused moves. Alright, a few signature moves of removed Pokemon still remain in the game. More proof that those Pokemon were originally going to be in the game. Although they are not available to the player, unlike the removed moves listed below, these have proper descriptions and, theoretically, can still be used. However, they will only be succeed if battle animations are turned off. Since they don't have their given animations, it makes sense, as they have no animations, which crashes the game. Because the game doesn't know what to do. Hey, there's no animation here, so I might as well crash. If used in a Link battle, where battle animations are mandatory, both games will crash. Alright, so Hyper Fang, Sketch, Chatter, Judgment, Dark Void, Seed Flare, Relic Song, Hyperspace Hole, Light of Ruin, Hyperspace Fury, Ice Hammer, Toxic Thread, Revelation Dance, and Beak Blast are all the removed moves here. Or the unused moves. Showing those Pokemon of their respective moves, we're going to show up into the game. Yeah, like AZ's Flow, both Hooper forms, Meloetta, etc. Alright, here are some removed moves. Moves that cannot legitimately be learned by any Pokemon in a game are coded in, but grayed out and unusable in battle. They also get a dummy description. This move can't be used. It's recommended that this move is forgotten. Once forgotten, this move can't be remembered. Which will happen if you try to transfer in a Pokemon from another Switch game into that game where that move does not exist. Or at least any move that existed at the time of Sword and Shield's release. It is worth noting that the stats of the special starter moves, Pikachu and Eevee, can be learned in Let's Get Pikachu and Eevee, were reverted to stats seen in that game's prototype, but also these moves are unobtainable. It is never seen in gameplay. Additionally, Psycho Boost and Tail Glow had descriptions identical to the ones in the Gen 7 games, but in Update 1.3.0, these were dummied out. And here are all the unused moves. Go ahead and pause if you need to. Yeah, some of these moves are just like moves like, who cares about some of these moves being gone, you know? But then you got pretty cool moves like Needle Arm. I don't know, I think Needle Arm is cool. Ice Ball, Tail Glow especially. I know the VGC players aren't liking that one, including myself. Sky Uppercut's a cool move. Psycho Boost because, you know, Deoxys isn't in the game. Trump Card's a personal favorite of mine, personally, but only Slowking and Eevee learn that move, so makes sense why that got taken out. Telekinesis is very niche. Magnet Bomb I always thought was cool. Mud Bomb, I wish had more power. If that returns in a future game, that needs to get buffed. Heart Stamp is Skydrop is one of my all-time favorite moves, so I'm sad to see that wasn't in the game and still hasn't been in any future game since. Alright, here's all the Z moves. And some other signature moves like Spotlight for Shiinotic, which, funnily enough, is a Pokemon that does show up in Sword and Shield. So they likely just didn't have time to code that in. Alright. And here's some other oddities. Alright, Fire/Water Pledge for Savali, not Grass Pledge, weirdly enough. Alright, the bug in which Savali cannot be tutored either Fire Pledge or Water Pledge, despite being able to learn Grass Pledge for some reason. A move that, remind you, is exclusive to starter Pokemon, is carried over from Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Which, again, shows that I think Sword and Shield might be in the same engine that Sun and Moon is in, which is why that glitch was carried over. And for some reason, they just didn't bother patching it out. But whatever. Dragonite's Learn Set Error. When Dragonite was reintroduced in the Crown Tundra DLC, it was supposed to learn Outrage at level 71. However, due to a typo in its Learn Set data, it learns this move at level 41 instead, before it can even be a Dragonite. I mean, you can just reteach it the move, so that's okay. It's unfortunately leaves a huge gap between Dragon Dance and Hyper Beam, and makes the move unobtainable without the move relearner, or TMs, or TRs in this case. As Dragonair evolves into Dragonite at level 55, its pre-evolution Dratini and Dragonairs don't have this issue. The error still persists in later games, which is stupid. You'd think they would have fixed it by now. Our jungle healing data, Zarude error. When Zarude was added into the Isle of Armor expansion. Only the regular form initially used the special animation where it uses its signature move Jungle Healing. The special data form didn't have it, and played a standard animation when using the move instead, akin to if a different Pokemon used it. Like, via Metronome, for example. It was impossible to see without hacking since Data as a Rude wasn't released at the time. It was fixed in a later patch before Data as a Rude was officially released. Alright, Earthquake Metal. Until patch 1.2.0, Melmetal was unable to learn Earthquake through TR. Even though I think I have a Melmetal with Earthquake and Sword and Shield, but whatever. Until then, you had to transfer on with the move from the Let's Go games. This has been fixed since. Unused evolution moves. Alright, Alolan Marowak and Exeggutor still retain being able to learn Shadow Bone and Dragon Hammer, respectively upon evolution. However, Cubone and Execute are not able to evolve into their Alolan counterparts in this game. So at some point, maybe they initially were going to evolve into their Alolan counterparts, most likely on Isle of Armor, a more tropical part of the Galar region. That's my guess. Just like Alola, a tropical region. So it goes unseen. Melmetal is set to learn Thunder Punch upon evolution, since Meltan cannot evolve in this game only through Pokemon Go. Further cementing the theory that I think Meltan and Melmetal purely exist just to keep Pokemon Go alive, but whatever. Only being able to do so in Pokemon Go. This goes unseen. Alright. And now, unused trainers. Or unused trainer data. Alright, and as usual, I'll leave this here so y'all can pause and read this. And interestingly enough, initially it seems like Peonia was going to be battled at some point. The only time you can ever battle her, or not battle her, but battle alongside her, was in the Dynamax raids. Or in the Max Lair raid battles. Besides only being used as a partner in Max raid battles, Peonia has trainer battle introduction animations, which seems to suggest that the player would have battled her during a certain point in the Crown Tundra DLC expansion. That's kind of the only interesting one here. The rest of these are just, just random NPCs and Ball Guy. Alright, and yeah, let's assert some dominance, this says over here. And these moves are not allowed in the Galar region? Oh no, it seems that the forces of the universe don't want you to read these messages. Oh boy. Alright, we have some unused audio here, and again, I'm not going to play these just so we don't get copyright striked. A short jingle which never gets used anywhere in game. This track may have been intended for Rotom Rally, as the official soundtrack list contains this on Disc 2, Track 27, as this Japanese text, Reach Goal and Rotom Rally, but remains not heard when actually reaching the goal in a Rotom Rally. Alright, a short arrangement of the Gym Leader theme is likely I was supposed to play in a cutscene, as the song does not loop. Alright, an unused arrangement of Eternatus theme. Don't have to worry about that. Alright, unused graphics. This early screenshot of Pikachu and Chandelure battling, here's what that looks like. Let's get a really close look. Looks kind of very undone, as you can see. Chandelure's flames are a little misplaced too. Our present in the game's finals is an early screenshot of Pokemon X and Y depicting a Pikachu fighting a Chandelure. Unlike the final game, there are no outlines on either model, and the UI has been lifted straight from Pokemon Black and White. Although the Pokemon names are using a different font, oddly there is no notation of gender next to the Pokemon's level. Most likely that wasn't done yet, as you can see the little gaps over here. Alright, this image would soon surface as a fully playable prototype in a source code leak for X and Y. Of course it was. And for some reason it was found in the files of Sword and Shield, most likely as a small placeholder, I guess, to test out battles before they made the real Sword and Shield UI and battle models and whatnot. Alright, a placeholder graphic, and a handwritten image of the kanji character, whatever that is, I can't tell, titled Ko_Kawa. Here's what it looks like. Just a few lines amidst the blue background, that's really it. Alright, an nondescript circle placed within the Pokemon type icon, most likely as a placeholder for, hey, this is the Pokemon's type, for the little circle icon. Alright, placeholder TM label with hiragana translating to dummy. And here's another unused texture for the typing a Pokemon would have. Clearly a precursor for the normal type symbol. Here's another one, which doesn't seem to show up. Well, you can kind of see it. Well, I can see it. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a little Japanese text within the checkerboard background. And here's another unused texture for that, which also has the same problem, only has the black outline. Our team just found with the graphics that donate the language of a Pokemon's origin game. Again, with hiragana translating to dummy. It's just a little test thing, which it would have been cool if they actually did have that information of what game of Pokemon originated in. But I guess they got rid of that in the final version, for whatever reason. Our present with the status element graphics is a label reading this, dummy underscore abnormal condition, most likely as a test graphic for when a Pokemon is under a status condition. Here's what it looks like. Alright, now let's get some unused and unseen models. Applin's body. Here's its real body in case you didn't already know when it's not in its apple. Alright, despite never getting out of its apple, Applin has a fully modeled and textured body underneath it. Applin's body would later be seen in-game for the first time in New Pokemon Snap, a Pokemon game I have yet to play, which I don't really plan on playing it, to be honest with you, but anyways. Alright, here's Alistair's face. Here's what he looks like without his mask, because in the final version of Pokemon Shield, specifically, since, Alistair doesn't show up in Pokemon Sword, that will only be seen on one of his rare league cards. Despite never taking off his mask, Alistair has a fully modeled and textured face underneath it. His face can be seen in-game via a rare version of his league card, though. So it looks like at some point in the game, probably after his gym battle in Shield, he would take off his mask or whatever and show it to the player, but that goes unused. Alright, some unused trainer classes. One of which I'm pretty sure I've never seen in-game. If anybody's seen this one in particular in-game, please let me know, but here's this character, which honestly, she's kind of hot, actually. I like her. But anyways, here's the unused version of the dancer class for the male class. Really with just a different hair color than what we see in the final game. All these are just different hair colors or different like, facial colors. That's pretty much it. And here's what they all look like. And they all have separate names as well. Like, we have Yui, we have Polaire, Kent, Vega, Chair, or Chur, whatever, Deneb, Ilka, Ilka? Huh, foreshadowing, eh? Ilka, that game company. But anyways, Wei, Izar, Dune, or Dune, whatever, Dune, whatever, Pia, Corvin, Terry, Themin, and Phoebus. Or Patters, he kinda looks like Patters. Anyways. Here's what this one looks like. And this kid I don't think is ever seen in the final game either. It's just a white-haired female doctor. Alright, this guy right over here, I think I do remember seeing him in some cutscenes. Or at least a character that looks kind of like him. Alright, and finally the Patters look-alike. Heh. Perhaps Patters is a chef in the Pokemon world, but whatever. Alright, all 15 type specialist gym leaders that can be encountered during a champion tournament have models based off of their original trainer class and are never seen in-game. The Challenger... This is most likely what they would have had without their gym outfits. I think this is what it is. The Challenger models are listed below the unused variants. For instance, this little code over here, Water 1, for the Gym Challenger, followed by TR0115_00_Seedwater 2 for the unused trainer class model, in this example, Vega, who is based off the Lass. There are some notable differences between the champion tournament gym trainers and the unused standard trainer class model that alludes to the latter being built off earlier models of the respective trainer class. These include UA's different contact lenses, as you can see here. Kent wearing a somewhat earlier hat model has, I can't read again, and has different eye shapes. Vega's hair does not cast a shadow into her face, and her eyes were slightly longer. As you can see the differences over here. It's a very slight difference, though. Shading on Chur's knees is unfinished. The button on Ilka's hat is unshaded in the gym outfit model. Dune's left eye being a flipped version of his right eye. Thymon's bowl hat uses a texture reminiscent of that found in the prototypes, and here's what they look like, side by side. Alright, here's an unused shirt. INN0009_00_t-shirt is an unused shirt featuring a crudely drawn Pikachu, presumably a placeholder of some sort, most likely a placeholder for the different clothes options that the male and female characters can wear, but mostly for Gloria, it looks like. Alright, version differences. These are just later patches that have shown up in the game, and as usual, just like with the last Unused video, I'll pause right over here so you guys have some time to read it. Go ahead and pause the screen if you'd like. Alright, and now, just like in the Scarlet and Violet video, I'm going to go on over to Buildpedia for a split second, because there's a few other things I'd like to show off. Just ignore all the ads that are on the screen over here, they're not important. But anyways, just like in Scarlet and Violet, Mega Evolution Primal Reversion, Bond Phenomenon for Ash Greninja, and Ultra Bursts were originally going to show up in the game, but ended up going unused, which again would have been so cool to have Dynamax Z moves and a Mega Evolution all-in-one just like Ash got in the anime during Pokemon Journeys. But anyways, Mega Evolution Primal Reversion, Bond Phenomenon, and Ultra Bursts remain in the game's code of Sword and Shield. However, those Pokemon can't transform into those forms in the final version. Here we go, and here's the list of them. And like I mentioned earlier with certain Mega Evolved Pokemon, or certain base form Pokemon not being in the game, so I think the reason why this ended up going scrapped is, again, because of the likes of Pidgeot, Beedrill, Medicham, Camerupt, Houndoom, and Ampharos not being in the final game, so without them, there was no point in making Mega Evolution, because how you can have some Mega Evolutions but not others, right? You gotta have all of them if you want the gimmick. So I guarantee you if those last 6 Pokemon did make it into the final game, I have a feeling Mega Evolution could have made it into the final game too, or at least in the Crown Tundra DLC, but no. And I remember after Crown Tundra came out, there was a bunch of rumors, or actually just before it came out, there were a bunch of rumors of there being like a third DLC, some parts were called Scepter C or something, or Jade Jungle, which honestly would have been really cool if we got something like that. Yes, and another $15 you'd have to give Game Freak if you want to play it, and I know some people aren't exactly going to be happy about that, but personally, I would have liked it. That's just me, though. I did decently enjoy Sword and Shield, so same with Scarlet and Violet, so I liked, like, a third DLC for both those honestly would have been pretty cool in my opinion, but whatever. Anyways, Eternamax Eternatus. Eternamax Eternatus exists as an alternate form for Eternatus in the game's data, however, it cannot be obtained in-game, and has never been distributed. Outside of its battle, it can only be seen during the move animation of Eternabeam. Its base stats are higher than that of a normal Eternatus, and it has a base stat, or base experience yield of 1125. And here's Eternamax Eternatus. Just a giant hand coming out of a void or whatever this is. And here's its menu sprite, which can be seen in-game if you hack it in. And here's its base stats. 255 HP, 115 attack, 250 defense and special defense, 125 special attack, and 130 speed, with a base stat total of 1125. Technically the highest base stat total any recorded Pokemon has in a Pokemon game, though it can't be used by the player without hacking, so it technically doesn't count. So that means Mega Mewtwo X, Mega Mewtwo Y, and Mega Rayquaza still have the highest base stat total of all Pokemon. At least that can be obtained by the player. Just saying. Alright, and here's some more unused shiny Pokemon that are in the game's files, but cannot be obtained through normal means. Alright, shiny Pokemon. For the sake of consistency, alright, all Pokemon have shiny forms. Let's skip that text. We've already done that. As Zarude and Data Zarude form were only distributed via event. It is currently impossible to have their shiny forms. Melmetal can be obtained shiny, but cannot consume max soup. So shiny Melmetal cannot Gigantamax. Excuse me. Alright, the first partner Pokemon, starter Pokemon, call it what it is, the player obtains at the start of the game are also shiny locked, but their shiny forms can be obtained via breeding. The Galarian forms of the legendary birds and the legendary heroes are also not available shiny in-game. And the legendary heroes? Is that the Swords of Justice they're talking about there? I'm not entirely sure what they're talking about here. I'm going to click that for a split second. Oh, Zacian and Zamazenta. The hero trio, I guess we're going to call them. I didn't know they were also referred to as a legendary hero duo / trio. If you count Eternatus, but I don't think Eternatus is a hero, so whatever. Also, not available shiny again, but their shiny forms have been distributed through events. All Pikachus and a Cap are programmed to not be shiny, but due to a glitch present in Pokemon Ultra and Ultra Moon, the partner Cap, and again, once again, they don't, patch that out. You can patch out all the other stuff, but you can't patch that out. Why? Because Scarlet and Violet has the same issue, too. Alright, Pikachu transferred from these games can be shiny. It's just that its shiny form shows up as its normal coloration, Why didn't they patch that out yet? I don't know. But anyways, here's the list of those Pokemon. And some of which we talked about already earlier. Alright, here's the abilities. We already discussed that earlier of those being unused, so we don't need to worry about that. Alright, same with the, there's some other things we could talk about over here real fast. Alright, unused max raid battle stats. All Pokemon that can Dynamax have max raid battle stats, with some fields being blank, meaning the Dynamax Pokemon are most likely not to be encountered any max raid battle encounters. Alright, and the other moves, we already mentioned those earlier, as well as the items and the abilities. And Pokedex entries, we already mentioned those earlier, but several Pokemon had Pokedex entries from Pokemon Sword and Shield that were not used in-game until the release of the Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra DLC expansion were released respectively, making all unused Pokedex entries used. So they most likely were there as like a precursor before the DLCs came out, so I guess it made it a little bit easier for the developers who were working on the DLCs. Most likely that was the case before the 2 DLCs came out. But anyways, that's it for part 2 of the Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC stuff, so if y'all learned something and you want to see more unused videos as well as my other usual gaming content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And as our question of the day, as usual, of all the unused things we discussed in part 2, which one would you like to have seen in the final game? Me, personally, I'd say maybe the Applin model being seen in the final game could have been good, or maybe even the usage of Eternatus's Eternamax form, I can't talk. Either one of those two things, the Eternamax form of Eternatus being playable, or Applin's little fully modeled body over here without its apple being seen in game. I would have liked to see those in the final game. So, with that being said, thank you all for watching, and have a berrific day.